Once a star player in Chicago who changed goal scoring and how players were paid, Hull, who died Monday at 84, will rightly be remembered more for his misdeeds. If ever there was an NHL star whose spectacular feats on the ice were diminished by his misdeeds away from it, it was Bobby Hull. His blonde hair and matinee idol looks combined with the stirring solo rushes up the ice that usually ended in his fearsome slapshot hitting the back of the net brought him the nickname the Golden Jet. But all that hockey gold was tarnished by the darker side of Hull, who died on Monday at the age of 84. For every accomplishment, like his 550-goal seasons in 15 years for the Chicago Blackhawks from 1957 to 1972, and all the pioneering steps, like his use of a curved stick or his jump to the upstart World Hockey Association in 1972 that eventually enriched his peers, there were blemishes, credible accusations from 2 wives of domestic assault, an arrest for assaulting a police officer, and the airing of repugnant views on race, genetics and Hitler. It will be interesting to see how the NHL and the Blackhawks, the team most associated with Hull, handle memorials for him. The NHL All-Star Game will be played on Saturday in South Florida. The next Chicago home game is February 7. Usually the death of a Hall of Fame star like Hull would merit an emotional tribute at both events, but his conflicting legacy leaves that in doubt. The NHL has long been criticized for its handling of issues involving sexual assault and racism but has tried to improve its image in recent years. The Blackhawks in particular have earned enormous criticism, especially for the team's mishandling of a sexual assault accusation in 2010 involving a video coach that resulted in a lawsuit by a former player last year and the departures of several team executives. So far, neither the league nor the Blackhawks has mentioned any of the problems with Hull's reputation in acknowledging his death. In an official statement released on Monday, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman referred to Hull as one of the league's most iconic and distinctive players. Rocky Wirtz, Blackhawks chairman, called Hull one of the team's most iconic and distinctive players. A few years after his NHL career began with Chicago in 1957, Hull established himself as the first mainstream superstar in hockey. A muscular farm boy from Point Anne, Ontario, a small cement manufacturing town 120 miles northeast of Toronto, he could bring fans to their feet with his locomotive-like sorties up the ice and was the closest thing to a household name the 6-team NHL had as the television age took hold in the 1960s. Both the league and the Blackhawks quickly recognized the publicity value in Hull. He was the subject of numerous promotions intended to create interest in hockey, especially among women at a time the sport had a mostly male audience. One of the most famous hockey photographs of the 1960s was one of Hull, stripped to the waist, flaxen hair and muscles glistening in the summer sun, tossing hay with a pitchfork on the family farm. At 5'10" and 195 pounds, Hull was not bigger than most of his fellow players, but he possessed great strength and speed. His slapshot was estimated to hit speeds as high as 119 miles per hour, routinely terrorizing goaltenders of the day since most of them played without the protection of masks. More than a few goaltenders turned to the mask in the mid-1960s when Hull and his Chicago teammate Stan Mikita began using sticks with curved blades. The sticks, called banana blades for their severe curls, could make pucks rise or dive unexpectedly. In 1967, the NHL introduced restrictions to limit the severity of stick curves. Hull also became an inspiration to his peers, as he always had a strong opinion of what his services were worth to a league in which players routinely took whatever modest salary the tight-fisted owners offered and kept their mouths shut.